So how old is your
Right.
son?
He is 3. He will be 4 in March.
Oh wow. So you already went through the terrible twos, or did they kind of
Oh yeah.
transition into the
Um,
threes?
yeah, they've kind of transitioned into the threes. I've heard, 3 is worse, and it's definitely to the point where, he can kind of test us now and see what he can get away with. So
He's getting to that point where he's getting smarter now. He's like picking up on like certain things, habits that
Mhm.
you guys have.
Yes. Oh my gosh, definitely. And it's to the point where, I'm definitely the softie. He's my baby boy and he's our first and our
Hmm.
only child right now, but I can be as stern with him as possible and he just still will not listen to me.
Oh
And as
wow,
soon as my husband says something, he's like, "Okay," and listens right to him. So it's just I
that's
think it's
funny.
just, he knows mom is like a safe place, but
Yeah, that tends to be like the kind of like the generic view, like the dad's always like the tough, person.
yep.
Well, like we
Hmm.
don't have me and my wife don't have a kid yet, but we have a dog, and it's just judging by like how
Yeah.
we interact with the dog. My wife is the stern one. I was like,
Yeah.
I let my dog get away with anything. I'm like, yeah, it's okay. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it.
Hmm.
Oh man. So
It's actually just like that.
that's funny. So just to make sure I pronounce your name, right, it's Kyndra, right?
Yes.
Kyndra. Okay.
Hmm.
Like, because I see that name spelled different ways, like, or at least sounds like that. It's like Kendra. Yours is with a
Or
Y.
KI. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't really see KY and DRA a
Right.
lot, but
Yeah.
yeah, I guess my mom was trying to be different. So
Right. Right. Well, she succeeded. Looks like she succeeded. So, where are you guys located at, if you don't mind me asking?
we are in Virginia Beach. We've been here about 3.5 years now.
Okay. So it seems like every show I do, like I just basically start out with the most obvious, which is, like the virus going around. How are you guys doing over there? Like, how's everything?
I mean, it's changing all the time, and I work at a gym as well, so we were
Mhm.
closed for a while. Things are open back up, but we have certain restrictions. For a while, we were doing Zoom workouts with our members, but I mean, really, the only thing is you got to wear masks, everywhere you go in the stores.
Yeah.
Um, Other than that, I mean, we don't really do a whole lot anyway. We don't
Hmm.
have family out here, so it's not like we went out a whole lot. And I'm up super early every single morning, and then sometimes I work evenings. So usually I just come home and go to bed. So for me, it kind of doesn't feel a whole lot different.
Yeah. Well,
But
I bet, I guess a lot of like the businesses and everything, it's so tough, like during this time,
yes.
it's hard. Like I was just listening to like the news and how they're having like all these new ways and advice for new businesses or small business, I should
Hmm.
say, not even new necessarily, might have been around for a while, just not big enough, don't have the financial backing to be able to take hits like, major hits like these. So a lot of places
Yeah,
are just shutting down.
that's what's
I mean,
sad.
yeah, like your gym, you said you work at a gym. Like how was, I know you said you guys reopened. Did the gym get a big hit from
We
this?
did. It was especially hard. I feel really bad for our owners. So it's Orange Theory Fitness,
Hmm.
and they had just opened October of last year. So they hadn't even been open for a full year, hadn't even been able to break even yet. And then this happened. So, but they're so amazing because even though they were dealing with their business shutting down, she made sure that all of us were taken care of.
Hmm.
She applied for the it was like the protection plan for employees, so we were able to eventually get paid.
Hmm.
Not much, but it was something.
Right.
So they were just amazing and just making sure we were taken care of, even though they were going through this crisis with their own business.
Yeah, it's quite a headache. It's like
Yeah.
kind of came out of nowhere. People were so excited about their businesses and everything, and then all of a sudden it's just, goes to
Yeah.
basically nothing. Yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely sad for
it's tough.
sure.
So Orange Theory, we have one here in Nashville, Tennessee, but I never actually went into one. Like, what's the basis of it? Like, is there a certain theme to it, or is
Yeah,
just like a regular
so
gym? Good.
It's like a boutique gym. I guess it's a group fitness class.
Mhm.
It's an hour long, and sometimes we have like 90-minute classes. There's specialty workouts, but you wear a heart rate monitor, and everyone's names are up on the screen,
Mhm.
and it goes by your heart rate zones. So us coaches, we're on a mic. We can coach you through the entire class, but it's great because you have your heart rate monitor on. Even though everyone's at different fitness levels, we can tailor it to what works best for what level you're currently at. So, someone who's maybe a jogger or a runner can still get the same feeling as someone who's a power walker, and they're still getting the same workout, but at their level.
Mhm.
Um, and they do, so it's a full body workout. They've got treadmill, rowers, and then we have a whole weight floor block. So you usually get to go to like each station. Um, but I mean, it's a great workout, and every day is
Yeah.
different. So you never get the same workout twice.
Yeah. I mean, that's, that's definitely a benefit, especially like sometimes I'll go train and I'm like, don't even feel like training because
Yeah.
I have a very, how can I put it? Like organized, or like my training hasn't really changed much. Even when I try to change it up, like eventually it just goes back to what I was doing before. Just
Yeah. And I
so.
think some people enjoy it because it's already laid out for them. We just kind of
Mhm.
coach them through it. We basically just yell at them and tell them what to do, and they just do it, and they don't have to do all the thinking.
What,
So I think
what,
that's why a lot of people like it too.
yeah, I'm sure. What kind of heart rate monitors do you guys? I know there's like a Whoop system that's really popular now. Is it something similar to
Oh.
that?
So they have two options. There's one that like goes around their chest,
Yeah.
and then there's another one that's like an armband. Um, and then it also connects to like their app, so they can even use their heart rate monitors outside of class, like if they went for a run or went and did a workout, and they can see what heart rate zones they're in. And it's great for us as a coach because we can see when people either aren't pushing themselves enough, like,
Mm.
hey, I think you can, we need to be in that uncomfortable feeling. I think you can speed it up a little bit. Or if they're pushing themselves too much, because there's different, they go by color zones. So if you see someone's in the red zone,
Hmm.
it's not bad, but it means they're like really
They're really
pushing hard.
grinding.
So
Yeah.
sometimes, like, hey, if you're in that red zone, just make sure you're still in control. If you're not, tone it down. So you can make sure people aren't undertraining or overtraining.
Yeah. That one around the body, around the chest seems to be like pretty accurate. Like that's the one that's like super
Yes,
popular nowadays.
that's the one I actually use when I take class, and I like it only because I've seen a lot of people have issues with the armband ones,
Mhm.
especially if they're on the rower or doing anything like bicep curls, because if they're gripping that rower handle too hard, it blocks the blood flow and they don't get an accurate reading.
Mm.
And sometimes if people, with different sizes, if they're very muscular, you kind of got to find that sweet spot on their arm. Sometimes it works better lower or higher. So that one's a little bit more finicky, I think, than the
Yeah.
chest strap.
Yeah. So you, as a person that uses this kind of equipment all the time, what do you think about like Fitbits and Apple Watches? Like I use an Apple Watch and it tracks my
Hmm.
like calories and things. And sometimes I get like different reviews from people just in on YouTube, or just people evaluating these kind of systems. And they'll say, well, the accuracy of the calorie burns is not quite correct, and I use it to monitor my calories. So like, do you
Hmm.
think those are good options, or are they not as accurate?
I use my Apple Watch as well,
Mhm.
and a lot of times when I take class, I use my chest strap and I turn on my watch, and
Mhm.
they're usually pretty close.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's been kind of a great indicator on how
Yeah.
well it has worked for me.
Yeah. Good thing.
I like my clients to use it, so I
Mhm.
also personal train outside of Orange Theory, and some of my clients, I actually even bought them like a Fitbit or something, just for one, I think they like that instant gratification to see how many calories they've burned.
Mhm.
But I think in that sense, like, it is helpful for people, to see how much work they put into it, or, I burned this many calories today. And it just kind of makes them feel good about the work that they did.
Right.
Um, but, I know there's definitely versions and all these different like off brand ones that, I'm not really sure how accurate
Sure.
they are.
Sure, sure. It's a tricky thing, but I
Hmm.
think the most popular ones are just the Apple Watch and the Fitbit. That's
Yeah.
probably the most what people have, and they're so nowadays they're like getting to be more and more affordable, especially since they have different versions of them. So a lot more
Hmm.
people are able to get them. You said you train personal clients, so like how
Yes.
What is your like clientele generally made up of? Because I know you're also competitive in the NPC. So do you generally
Yes.
train like lifestyle people or more competitors?
Most of them are like they want to work on weight loss and muscle toning, but lately, I think just because I've been sharing a lot from my last few competitions, I have been getting more inquiries about training for shows. I actually just
Mhm.
got one right before we hopped on, that was
Nice.
interested in competing. So um, I'm kind of trying to figure out how I want to get into that since I've really mainly just trained, for weight loss.
Sure, sure. It's a different kind of
Yes,
prep,
it's very
right?
different.
You've been through it as an athlete. Sounds like you might need.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You need a second.
He's just asking, can you say hi?
Hey. Oh,
He's
he's
dressed up as Super
cute.
Mario right now.
Oh, I see that. I see that. Is that it's not quite a superhero, but I guess it is. It's, does
Yeah. Super Mario's your favorite, huh?
he play you play video games with Super
Yeah,
Mario?
I played
Yeah.
Super Mario Kart.
Oh, it's been so long since I played Super Mario. It's been
It's a good one, huh?
Yeah,
Super
quite a
Mario
I'm
while.
Kart.
doing that as I'm doing well Mario jumps. Then get this star.
What's your name?
Can you tell him your name? What's your name? Trey.
Trey. Trey. It's a nice name, Trey.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to Halloween and I'm being Mario.
Yes, you
Oh,
were. You were
nice.
Mario for Halloween. That's right.
Nice.
Yeah, we gotta go in it, please.
Okay, I'll go get you some milk. Go wait in the room. I'll bring you some milk. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Sorry about
No,
that.
no, thank you. That was sweet. Thankfully, this isn't live, so I can always cut out whatever we
Oh,
don't.
perfect. Okay. Is it
Like
okay
I
if I
said.
go grab him some
Oh
milk
yeah,
real quick?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Go
Sorry.
ahead. Part of being a mom. You can't. There's no
There's no
stop.
breaks.
Yeah, there's no breaks. You can't just take a time out.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm trying to remember what we are talking about. Oh, about so I was gonna say since you've been through the process of actually like going through prep and everything, it's like on the athletic side as being an athlete, prepping somebody out. It's quite a different challenge than just losing
Hmm.
a little weight, right? Like there's all kinds of like peak week things to do, water cutting, this, that, the
Yeah.
other.
There's just a lot more that goes into it, and it takes a lot more thought, and you really have to pay attention to um, what they're doing, even like the smallest things. I have my own coach as well, so like even the biggest athletes have coaches too.
Right.
And it goes down to everything: your tan prep, how you prep your skin before your tan,
Mhm.
your hair. Don't go do something crazy to your hair before the show. Don't go eating something new that you haven't had before because you don't know how your body's going to respond to it.
Right.
There's just a lot of things. And yes, cutting water, when to cut water, because you see a lot of people, during peak week, they start cutting water too early. And then by the time they get to show day, they're really flat.
Yeah.
So for me, I learned a lot just in that last week leading up to it. Don't change
Mhm.
anything you're eating. Keep eating what you're eating. Usually you'll cut down a little bit on, carbs or certain things, but um, you definitely have to pay attention to how their body responds to certain
Yeah.
things.
It's interesting that you mentioned about like food and not changing things.
Mhm.
Not getting ready for a show or anything. Just talking about myself. Like I'll be eating a certain way, lose some weight, go in the right direction, and then what would happen is I'll eat something different, and
Mhm.
it won't necessarily be a lot or a lot of calories or
It can
anything like
even be like
that.
a new vegetable or something.
Right. And
Like,
all of a
yeah.
sudden my body will just look completely different. No definition, no, just bloated. And
Hmm.
it's sometimes just the way, if it upsets your stomach, that can affect the way you look too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite a challenge. Why do you, so let me ask you this, like, why do you not do your own prep? Like, since, I mean, you obviously, know what to do. You've been through it before. So like, is there, and just in general, like, why do you think like competitors, even the top ones have coaches? Like you would think they'd be able
Mm,
to, accomplish it themselves.
yeah. I think for one, I like someone holding me accountable and helping me stay on track with my goals, because especially with this year in COVID, I started prepping back in February, and my show was supposed to be in April, and it got pushed back and then pushed back again.
Mm,
So I definitely had a point where I lost motivation, and I kind of needed my coach at that point to help keep me on track, because I was just like, I was at a point where I was like, why am I doing this? Like, should I just wait? But that, and also there are things that a coach sees that you may not see,
mm,
or we're our worst critics. So times where I feel like I haven't made any progress, and I could take all the progress photos and try to compare them, but sometimes they just see things that maybe you don't see, good
right.
or bad.
Right. That's a good point.
Hmm.
So you're in bikini, right? Correct.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Have you like what are your aspirations as far as like a lot of times in the fitness industry, people like always jump divisions, right? Like they'll start off somewhere and they'll go somewhere else.
Hmm.
Do you expect yourself to go to like figure or somewhere else over time, or are you just going to stay in bikini?
I've thought about it a little bit just recently. I'm very petite. I used to do ballet professionally.
Interesting.
I just have a small frame. So I
Right.
feel like I fit best in the bikini category. I feel like I'm kind of built better for that. But even for bikini, I know I still need to put on some size. So that's kind of what my plan is for this off season, is to put on some size, attend, a national show, and I'm hoping for that pro card next year.
Hmm.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
But I know I got to put on some size. So maybe once I put on a little bit more, I know I could eventually probably move up to figure. Um, I guess it's going to take some time. It'll probably take me another year or two to put on some more mass.
Yeah, it's interesting how like extremes on both ends are like tough to deal with. Like for example, like
Hmm.
a lot of people think of, oh, well, when I gain weight too fast, like that's a problem because it's hard for me to lean out. Well, like I fall into that category. I gain weight fast, but I also gain body fat fast.
Right.
And I always think about like, oh man, wish I was a little like was smaller, but then I don't think about the fact that there's people out there that are smaller naturally and very hard for them to put on any kind of weight. So
Yes. And
it's
that's been my issue. And, a lot of people don't want to hear, oh, poor you got to put on weight, but it's,
yeah.
it is hard in a different way. It was hard to kind of force myself to eat as much as I was. I was at 2,100 calories, even leading up to show day.
Mm,
And it's definitely a different kind of challenge. So either spectrum, you have your challenges. Whether you're trying to cut a lot, you got to do a bunch of extra cardio. And that's the thing right now with this reverse diet. You got to make sure you go slowly back into it, slowly gaining weight, keeping the fat at bay, um, but still, eating enough. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, and just slowly adding on more calories each week to put on some more weight in a
mm,
way that my fat isn't, you don't want to just go ham and eat whatever the heck you want, everything you haven't had in
right.
the last like 6 months. You got to be careful.
Yeah, true, true. It's amazing how bikini, I mean like well, every division really, but you really see it in bikini because those are generally the smallest,
That they're so
girls.
lean.
Yeah,
Yes.
that they have gotten considerably bigger from
Yes,
years past,
that is
and
very true.
and so, like, what do you think what's your opinion on that in general? Like, do you think it's a good thing, bad thing? Do you think it's like they should control it, or how would
It's
you?
hard to tell because I feel like it is always changing. Actually, I think it was one of your podcasts I was listening to before where she said, back in the day, um, bikini division or bikini girls were just basically an average girl you'd see at the beach, that was
Right.
in somewhat decent shape. And now it's kind of like they want you a little bit harder. So it's hard to tell because I do a lot of like research and listen to different
Mm,
podcasts and read different articles about competitors, and you'll get feedback from one show and they say you need to be harder, you need to be bigger, and then you'll go to another show that same year and that set of judges says you're too hard, you need to be small. So it's hard to know what exactly they're looking for because it's
mhm.
changing all the time. So I think that's why it's good to go to a few different shows to get a couple different judges' opinions and find that middle ground, like where you can kind of meet both of what they're saying. So
Mhm.
that's kind of my plan for next year, is to do a couple regional shows before I hit national stage.
Gotcha. So you've been on the national stage before, right? You two
I have
times?
not.
No,
No,
you have
next year will
not.
be my
You have,
first national.
okay. Okay. So that'll be interesting. That'll be quite a new experience for you.
Yeah, national shows, I mean, everyone's going to look good there. You have to
Right.
qualify to go. This year was actually my very first year competing,
Mm-mm.
and I qualified in both the shows I did this year. So that's great, but they're much smaller scale. So when you go to a national show, you got more competitors. Everyone looks really good.
Right.
So I know I got to step my game up.
Yeah, it's almost like the more competitors you have, the more you have to do something to separate yourself from the pack, right? Because it's like
Exactly.
if you're thinking about it, if you're a judge, you're watching a bunch of people come through, and this is for men and women, and like it all starts to kind of merge together, right? The more competitors you have, it's hard to like remember, oh, what did this person look like, and then who
Hmm.
to compare. It's a tough gig to be a judge. It's not easy.
Oh, yeah.
So, I definitely get that. But for sure, like when you were saying that about a past podcast, I've had that, said several times that the part of the issue is that there's not like a real standardized like
Hmm.
system. It kind of is like, okay, well, this is
Yeah.
what bikini is supposed to look like, but
We
there's
want
no
rounded glutes, hamstrings
right,
pop in, that rear delt, but
right. But within that, there's like a lot of variations for judges to give
hmm
you like opinions and so forth. And it's kind of like,
yeah.
well, whose opinion do you take?
And exactly. And it could be anything, even from like your suit color or how your tan looks, how you did your hair that day, your makeup, if your makeup looked good or not. I mean, they'll dock you on every single thing, especially at that point, because they've got so many competitors.
right.
You got to find like which one looks the best. Their posing is on point. So you really got to have the whole package.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So you said you did what? Ballet, I believe. I'm sorry if I miss.
Yes.
Okay.
So I did it professionally. I retired about, oh gosh, 6 years ago.
So what does that mean? Like obviously, like we all know what like professional athlete looks like, right? Like where would they go to a professional league, or
Mhm.
what is someone who does ballet professionally? Like what does that look like day in, day out?
So basically, we would have our warm up class during the day before rehearsals start. So that was usually about an hour and a half class. We start at like 8 or 9 a.m. And then you have rehearsals all day till about 4 p.m. So it's a full time job,
Mhm.
not very much pay. So a lot of us had other jobs. And then we would have performances every few months. So, like Nutcracker, we'd have shows all month long of December. And um, we have our off season, which is, usually during summer. So there is a period of time where you're laid off. And a lot of us teach. I taught ballet. I also, I'd go from dancing all day long, and then I'd go work at a restaurant from 5 till 11 p.m. And that was my
Wow.
life, just working all the time.
It's such a very elegant thing that's been around for so long. You would think like people that do ballet should, or at least on the highest level, should be paid like more, but instead
Yeah.
it's kind of like it's almost like classical musicians. It's like it's such a hard thing to do to go
Hmm.
through all that, to so difficult. It's a technique that's been around forever, and it's like, and we almost like devalue it, like it's not
Yeah.
valuable in our society anymore. So
And what's crazy
fortunately.
too is like, you think about tickets to a ballet or like an opera, they're expensive. So it's like, there's people that are paying for these tickets, but it's like you
Yeah,
still just kind of don't really see like, okay, so where is that money going? Like, how come we're not getting
yeah,
paid as
yeah,
much? So you're like, I
yeah.
know the kind of people that come to these shows. So at
Right.
some point I got to the point where I was just working all the time, and I love it still, but it made me just not enjoy it as much because I was just working just to barely get by.
Sure, sure. Yeah, no, that's gotta be tough. So I just kind of want to, I guess, go ahead and wrap it up. But I was gonna ask you, so how did you get into like fitness and training? Was it just from the ballet aspect of it, and you just you just said, hey, let me go into this direction?
Yeah, basically, I mean, I've been active my whole life. I literally did ballet from age 4 till I was like 25, 26. So it was my whole life. And when I retired, it was a struggle for me. It was like this identity crisis. I was used to having something that I was so passionate about and being very active. I also had quite a few injuries, and I started to get into physical therapy, or it
Mhm.
just interested me because I was in physical therapy all the time, I guess. But it was just very interesting to me how the body worked and how everything was connected.
Yeah.
So after that, I thought of getting into physical therapy, but I really enjoy teaching and helping people. So I ended up getting my personal training certificate, and I got it initially back in 2010. And then I was still dancing at the time when I first got it. But then I kind of just didn't like keep up with my certifications. I wasn't as
Mhm.
into it because I was still dancing and just very busy. And then I got recertified a few years ago, and also with my nutrition certification. Um,
Nice.
so now I've got my training business and, coaching at Orange Theory. But
Mhm.
my main goal is to have, just my training business. I want to scale larger to online community,
Sure.
be able to help people,
Sure.
wherever they are.
Especially now with everything going on with COVID, it's people need
Hmm.
that self-confidence boost. A lot of people are focusing on their health. It's sad that it
Yeah.
took a pandemic for people to really start thinking about their health, but especially that they keep saying that, oh, if you have issues with health, like this, you're prime target for this, for this disease, this virus. So yeah, definitely something that's much needed. So before I let you go, I'm gonna tag this in, below in the video description. But can you verbally kind of tell us if somebody wanted to reach out to like get your help in training, nutrition, and so forth?
Yeah, definitely. I'm currently working on a new website right now.
Hmm.
So right now, the best way to contact me is either my email, which is kyndra.fitness@gmail.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Kyndra, that's KYNDRA.fit.
Okay, awesome, Kyndra. Thank you so
Hmm.
much. And tell
Yes.
Trey, thank you for allowing you to to come on the show. Greatly appreciate
Yes, somewhat without the
it.
interruptions,
No,
but
no, it's good.
that's
We'd love to have
mom
you
life.
again sometime in the future.
Yes, thank you so much
All
for
right.
having me. It was
All right.
fun.
You take care. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye bye.